Welcome to episode 2 of our 5-part series on tradition, teeth and truth. Across these episodes, we are going to examine Indian food habits, cultural practices, sugar myths, toothpaste debates and modern lifestyle. Not emotionally, not politically, but scientifically. Because enamel doesn't respond to trends, it responds to chemistry. I'm Dr. Deepti Melkote. Let's separate dental myths from science. In episode 1, we learned something powerful. Traditional Indian meals were not magical, they were structured, and structure protects enamel. If you haven't watched episode 1 yet, I recommend starting there. It sets the foundation for everything we are discussing today. But here's the question we are answering today. What about everything else we do every day? Chewing guava, sipping filter coffee for hours, betel nut habits passed down through generations. Do these traditions help or harm? In this episode, we are going to examine 3 very familiar Indian habits, not emotionally, not culturally, but scientifically. You'll learn why guava is excellent for your gums, but can crack weak teeth. The real problem with filter coffee, it's not the coffee itself. Why betel nut and tobacco are non-negotiable health risks. How to evaluate any tradition through the lens of biology. Because not every tradition protects. Some support biology, some stress it, and some override it completely. Let's look at this calmly. Let's begin. Guava, when the crunch is helpful and when it isn't. Let's begin with this. Guava is nutritionally excellent. It's rich in vitamin C, and vitamin C supports collagen production. Healthy gums depend on collagen activity. So from a gum health perspective, guava is beneficial. The crunchy texture also stimulates saliva. And as we discussed in episode 1, saliva is protective. It buffers acids, it washes away debris, it supports enamel recovery. So far the guava sounds perfect. But here's where nuance matters. Guava seeds are hard. If you repeatedly crush hard seeds on the same tooth, especially if they have large fillings, root canal treated teeth, existing cracks or thinning enamel, you can create microfractures over time. I have treated patients who come and saying, "Doctor, my tooth just broke suddenly." But when we look closely, it was not sudden. It was repetitive mechanical stress, not chemical damage. Mechanical overload, there's a difference. Guava doesn't weaken enamel chemically. But if one tooth keeps taking the impact again and again, especially a restored tooth, it can fail. Enjoy guava, chew mindfully, avoid using that one weak tooth as your permanent crusher. Nutrition is beneficial, excessive force is not. That is the principle. Now let's talk about coffee. Coffee often gets blamed unfairly. Yes, coffee can stain enamel over time, but staining is cosmetic. It doesn't automatically mean damage. The real issue is not coffee itself, it's how we consume it. 1 cup finished in one sitting is very different from 1 cup stretched across 2 or 3 hours. Here's why. Every time you sip, especially if sugar is added, you slightly change the environment in your mouth. You introduce carbohydrates, you trigger acid production. But if you keep sipping slowly all morning, you keep restarting that process. You remove the ending. And remember what we said in episode 1, structure protects. When 1 cup becomes a 2-hour habit, exposure extends. So the practical advice is simple. Drink your coffee, enjoy it, finish it, rinse with water, move on. Don't turn 1 cup into a continuous event. Structure matters, even with beverages. Now we move to something more serious. Betel quid chewing or pan, gutka, tobacco chewing. These habits are culturally embedded in many communities. They are normalized, they are social, they are generational, but biologically they are not neutral. Areca nut and smokeless tobacco are carcinogenic. India continues to report high rates of oral cancer. In clinics we see non-healing ulcers, restricted mouth opening, white or red precancerous patches, advanced cancers that could have been detected earlier. This is not about disrespecting culture. It's about understanding risk. There's no safe level of tobacco chewing. There is no balanced way to consume gutka. This is not a gray area. This is preventable disease. If you or someone in your family has a mouth ulcer lasting more than 2 weeks, a burning sensation in the mouth, difficulty opening the mouth, or persistent red or white patches, please get it examined. Early detection saves lives. Tradition without adaptation becomes harm. Wisdom includes evolution. Now bringing it back to structure, let's connect everything back to episode 1. We learned that traditional meals contained acid exposure. Today we learned that habits can do 3 things: support biology, stress biology, or override biology. Guava, supportive with mindfulness. Filter coffee, neutral if structured. Betel nut and tobacco, harmful. Full stop. This is how we evaluate cultural habits responsibility. Not with blind loyalty, not with blind rejection, but with scientific clarity. If this episode made you think about someone in your family, share it with them, especially if you're trying to help someone quit tobacco. Sometimes we don't need arguments, we need calm explanations. And if you're unsure whether your daily habits are supporting or stressing your health, a preventive consultation can give you clarity specific to your mouth. In the next episode, we are going microscopic. We are going to answer a question I hear almost every week. Is Jaggery better than sugar for your teeth? Because enamel does not care about marketing. It responds to acid. I'm Dr. Deepti Melkote. See you in episode 3.